Okay, recently there was a clip on CNN. Anorexic woman's dramatic transformation. Now, for those of you who are out of touch, you're going to say, well, what about people who are anorexic with eating disorders and so on and so forth? With eating disorders, it's the same thing with the rest of psychiatric disorders. Over 99% of people who are diagnosed with eating disorders, who think they have eating disorders, rather, it's more of environmental, nutrition, habits, psychological factors. Okay? So, I would cite the case in the news that proves my point for several reasons. One, what have I always said? Mental disorders as defined by them, not that they have half-truths. Half-truths are not enough, When somebody's sick, for example, with AIDS, you say, well, this person has weight loss and they're sweating or, whatever the case may be. Yes, it's half-truth. Is it enough to treat fucking somebody successfully? No. So that is correct. And that is incorrect. You only partially describe the problem, therefore you're not correct. So mental disorders as defined by them do not exist. Key here. Number one, it's what I always said. Number two, they don't understand the mind-body connection. I complain about the mind-body connection in martial arts. They don't understand the nutrition, the mind-body connection. When you eat food, it goes through your body, your digestive system, to your bloodstream, to your brain. Same way drugs go into your bloodstream, to your brain. The nutrients go to your brain. So if you're not eating healthy, it's going to lead to, behavioral problems, we'll call them. And if you take drugs, or there's preservatives and GMOs and additives and fillers and so on and so forth, they're going to trick your brain and they're going to mess with your brain and you're going to act a certain way. So when you take alcohol and you take marijuana and cocaine and heroin, all these things are going to mess with your brain. We all know that. Okay, all you marijuana guys go, no, don't bring up marijuana. We all know you get high, you act differently. Marijuana does have long and short-term effects on your brain, and your brain can heal itself. Okay? So, what else did she say? She said something about respect, okay? Now, I'm not entirely sure what she's getting at, but I do know no matter how you look at it, it proves my point. So let me play this clip.
They were so worried about my body, and my body wasn't responding to any of the treatment because they didn't understand that the brain had to come along with the body. I was finally treated with respect, and I didn't know that I deserved it.
Now, I think that she's referring to the mind, which is an honest mistake for somebody who weighed 40 pounds to make, No one expects her to be a fucking scholar and to invent, time travel or something, So I think she was referring to the mind, that the mind has to go along with the body, and that she didn't know that she deserved respect. So once she felt treated like a human being, she was able to work her way through. So the drugs that she was taking to make her gain weight, okay, they're weighing her constantly, they're giving her drugs, they're adjusting the dose, and then when she reached out and she did this fundraiser, and she raised almost $200,000, and she felt loved, and then she was able to gain weight. This proves my point. What is love? Is love biological, or is it environmental factors? And what is love? What is God? God is love. Okay? I mean, this has proven my point in many ways, but they're going to twist it and say, well, there's people who think mental disorders don't exist, and, look at this skinny girl, and blah, blah, blah. Oh, wow. So, as soon as you see people using a very simple argument for something as complex as human nature, know that they're lying to you. It's a pretty good giveaway. It's a pretty, straightforward giveaway. When the people who claim to be the experts are saying something as stupid as, well, look at this skinny female, it proves that mental disorders exist. That's like saying this guy shot this person. It proves that mental disorders exist. Completely discounting all the environmental factors. This guy fucking might have shot the person in self-defense. This guy might have shot the person because he raped his wife. There's a whole lot of fucking reasons. But what are they doing? They are oversimplifying and overgeneralizing, if they were to target me and group me in with all the people who say psychiatry, is a fraud. You see how that works? Yeah. Every single video they put out proves my point more. And let's not forget what I've been saying a lot recently, especially, is that about less than 1% of society has serious mental disorders. Okay? And this case is not a clear-cut case of an eating disorder, as you know, as defined by them. Especially because what? Some of you are going to say, what do you mean it's not a clear-cut case? What do you mean? Listen carefully.
They were so worried about my body, and my body wasn't responding to any of the treatment because they didn't understand that the brain had to come along with the body.
Now, did I ever say that people do not behave in a way that is out of the ordinary? Out of what society considers ordinary? And perhaps even out of the ordinary for their different cultures? I never said that. I said they don't understand our culture. I said mental disorders as defined by them don't exist. I said it is immoral, unlawful, and dead wrong and unconstitutional to covertly drug people or to force drug people, because you're basically punishing them without a fair trial. You're giving them a kangaroo court in some psych ward. You know, you're detaining them without, you know, due process, and they're getting extended stay left up to a shrink. There's no lawyer. There's, you know, the shrink, you know, extends your stay. That's more than the 48 hours that cops are allowed to detain you. And then after a while, maybe after like a week or something, you might meet with a patient rights advocate. Or even if it's 3 days, you meet with a patient. It's still that longer than that 48-hour period the cops are allowed to detain you without charging you. So they have circumvented your fucking civil rights, your constitutional rights. Okay? Because, you know, on behalf of the most profitable industry in America. I mean, how straightforward can it get, you know? We talk about corporate greed. How are you going to magically miss the most profitable industry and you claim that you're against corporate greed and the 1%? I don't know. Ever ask yourself that? These people talking about the 1% in Wall Street and shit. They're not going to talk about these people getting rich from investing in pharmaceutical companies being the 1%. They're not going to talk about pharmaceutical companies are set up by the 1%. But they're going to talk about this and that because they're liberal dogs aligned to the pharmaceutical companies. Talk about hypocrisy, you lobbying loving bitch. You lobbyist loving bitches. Anyway, talk about the iron triangle in sociology and economics and politics. Whew. I've gone over that several times. It might be probably about a dozen now. So yeah, you know, I would love to see what these smirking bitches have to say in response to what I just said. Oh yeah, there are people who are suffering. You know, did I ever say that nobody's sad? Did I ever say nobody gets angry and agitated and aggravated and frustrated? I get fucking frustrated in almost every fucking video I make. For a good reason. We need to get to the root cause of these problems. Part of her problem was Babylon's system treating people badly. The way they treat people. And then they put them in psych wards and quote-unquote treat people. Isn't that sick? The problem in the first place is how they treat people. Then they put them in a psych ward and quote-unquote treat people, which is really mistreating people. So the problem is mistreating people. Then they send them to a psych ward and mistreat them further. While they get rich off of it. And you people don't think that that's a problem. Oh man, oh man. You give me any ADHD kid. Okay, I'll give them a serious martial arts regiment. I will make sure they eat healthy. And they will focus. And they will do well in school without medication. You let me change society and I will reduce the cases, the occurrences of mental illnesses dramatically. You give me control. Instead of letting these authoritarian, totalitarian dogs run the show, you know, you let a reasonable person run the show. Instead of letting a bunch of oppressive dogs, you let me handpick, you know, Congress and the Supreme Court. And I will dramatically reduce the occurrences, the cases of mental illnesses, the frequency of mental illness. You let a rational, moral, principled man, and I will show you that I'm right about the environment. She said her body wasn't responding to the treatment. Okay? Because they don't know what they're talking about. No matter how you look at it, this proves me right. Even in dramatic cases, they can't fix it. Their drugs are ineffective. They don't know what they're talking about. So you're going to covertly drug people, or you're going to force medicate people, or you're going to coerce them and hold their shelter over their head, hold their jobs over their head. I mean, come on. Come on. How wrong is that? You don't even know what you're talking about. And even if you did, it would still be wrong. I have yet to meet a mental patient who isn't conscious to a certain degree and capable of making conscious decisions. And I have been interviewing people and researching and reaching out to quote-unquote patients for 21 years. It is wrong to force medicate people. And you people who think that, oh, you know better, you know, these people used to do electroshock therapy. I'm pretty sure in some places they still do. I'll put it in the comments. It's been a while since I checked it. I've heard conflict, and I think the conflict has to do with some places stopped it and other places don't. I think in some places they still do electroshock therapy. Okay, remember I talk about, I'll hit this person in the head twice a day, and those symptoms will go away. Well, guess what? These people put little things on their head and shock them. Okay? That's these people. And even if they stopped, they were still doing it a few years ago or something. Even if they stopped everywhere, which I probably, I doubt. That's these people. And while they were doing it, they were saying, look how far mental health has come, and we love the patients, and we treat them now, and we treat them better, while they're zapping their fucking brains. On record, it causes massive brain damage. But did that stop them? So what makes you think that they're going to stop drugging people, or that their drugs are safe? Don't be surprised when the people who do what they do what they do, and brain damage is what they do. Now, if a little kid's acting annoying, I could hit him in the head with a fucking baseball bat. I could throw them in a bathtub and throw a fucking heater in the fucking bathtub and shock the shit out of them, and they'll stop showing symptoms. But is it correct? Is it moral? Is it responsible? Is it right? Of course it's not. If I secretly do it, it's even more wrong. If I do it with government legislation, it means the people and the government have failed that individual miserably. If I tie them to the bathtub while they're squirming and say, no, please, no, 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 and I throw it in, that's what they're doing. It's either they're accepting it and not knowing better. They're laying in the bathtub. Okay, go ahead and do me. I want to get better. Go ahead. Because you've tricked them into thinking that that's how they get better. Or you've covertly snuck in, gotcha, I got you. Or you're tying them there. Just like they're tying you in a fucking, 4-point restraints, in the psych ward, and then they're turning you over while you're in restraints like this, and putting a needle in your ass. Okay? Is it inhumane? Of course it's fucking inhumane. Is it unempathetic and of course it is fucking evil. Come on. And then you're going to be surprised when the people who do what they do what they do. All you bitches are going to be surprised. All you naysayers who aren't just playing stupid are going to be surprised when it comes to the light that I'm right. Just in, it turns out that one black guy we all fucking hate because he was trying to save the world was right. Just in, that black guy who pissed off all the feminists, all the racists, all the atheists, all the Satanists, all the Zionists, all the homosexuals, all the shrinks, all the evil men in charge, and all the gold diggers, and so on and so forth. It turns out he was right. All the worst criminals wanted to crucify him. Well, guess what? He was right. Just in. That black guy who went out in a blaze of fucking glory screaming about how he's right after trying to calmly tell you for fucking decades and then fucking making videos in a rage? He was right. And albeit, he was right to be mad.